What's up? What's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now live here on Chat Sports. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic Tuesday. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, the Bird Gang, the Fly Eagles Fly family, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. A lot to talk about as there was a very intense practice at the NovaCare complex, which just wrapped up a little while ago in South Philadelphia between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Indianapolis Colts in the lead up to some Thursday night football, as that was the final training camp practice for the Eagles. And then on Thursday, the final preseason game for the Birds as well. As for what we're getting into on today's show, Eagles Colts training camp practice reaction. A lot of people have reached out to me asking, Chase, are the Philadelphia Eagles going to trade for Jonathan Taylor? I'm going to explain why the Eagles should not make that move, frankly, because they don't need Jonathan Taylor. We're going to cook up an Eagles 53-man roster projection because a week from today is when all teams across the NFL will trim those rosters to 53 players to get geared up for the regular season. Then we'll also do a mailbag, so right now start getting those questions in by using the hashtag Eagles Better Yet Super Chat. In the meantime, let's get that comment section going. Go Birds, you know the motto. Where are you watching from? We're emanating live from the Chat Sports studios here, but where are you? Shout out your city, shout out your zip code, shout out your state, shout out your country, whatever it is. Just let us know where you are at right now. Ernesto, Tucson, Arizona. Nick Stone coming to us from Chi-Town. Lamont Lancaster, the OG, West Philly. Jeffrey Perez is in Massachusetts. Where's everybody else at? I know we have people tuned in from worldwide. Holy DC East, South Jersey. Reed, the legend Reed, Tampa, Florida, not Miami. Chip is lying to you. Liverpool, UK, from FGRTR, Watha, North Carolina. Brian Thomas is in New Orleans. Dover, Delaware, from Unspoken Words. Peter Thurman, Delco, yo! Troy Singleton is in Atlanta. Erie, Pennsylvania, from Stu. And then Grom is in East Bethel, Minnesota. A couple of more coming in here. Rob Townsend, Scottsdale, Arizona. That is a beautiful place. Been there 2 times. Tristan, hey, go Eagles. Beat the Patriots. As always, beat any team that the Eagles are taking on, especially the New England Patriots. Make sure you tune into our watch party on Thursday night. Live play-by-play, audience interaction, stats analysis, and a whole lot more. We will have more Super Chat giveaways and an extra giveaway during our watch party as well. Our coverage begins on Thursday night, an hour before kickoff, just like the last 2 weeks, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. And of course, for week 1 against the Patriots, we'll be live for that game as well. And speaking of this matchup between Philadelphia and the Indianapolis Colts, should the starters play on Thursday? We have not seen the starters get any run throughout the preseason so far. And I'm always a fan of seeing the starters play, because I think it's important to get into football shape as far as just getting used to getting hit. Because the Eagles throughout training camp, they don't do a lot of tackling. They don't have a lot of physical training camp practices. So I want to see what this offense and defense, frankly, can do with a couple of new pieces and 2 new coordinators in Sean Desai as well as Brian Johnson. So P for play or S for sit. Should Sirianni sit the starters? Should he play them? Let us know. Reed said sit. Unspoken Words. Not sure what you're trying to say there. Lamont said play. T-Boog, yes, they should just to warm up. I agree. Brian Thomas said sit. My boy, B. Ford, is back in the house as well. He's getting the comment section going. Any news on Nolan Smith's injury? He's fine. He even said after the game that he was fine. It was more just precautionary for him to get taken out of the game. Zaire Williams, play. Ernesto, play. Grom Grim Fist said sit him so that there's no injuries. Philly Freak said play as well. Mr. Awesome Guy, play like 2 drives. That's what I'm kind of cool with. Like at least a drive or 2, because I do think it's important to work out some of the kinks because you're going up against a really good New England Patriots team. As for our joint practice reaction, Eagles and Colts clashing this morning at the NovaCare complex in South Philadelphia. And there's really a lot to relate to the audience because Philadelphia's defense was really good. Their offense was also very solid. It was a very chippy practice between both teams. Derek Barnett, believe it or not, this might come as a surprise to some, wink, wink, he got into another fight. Hashtag always him. So Derek Barnett got into one fight, and then there was actually a massive fight after that, which caused the coaches to end this practice between the Colts and the Eagles. Kenneth Gainwell took a couple of late hits. Jason Kelce took exception to one of those late hits. He ran down the field, laid a Colts player out, Zaire Franklin, who's a Philadelphia native, which resulted in a massive brawl. And then both coaches looked at one another and they were like, we're done. Sound the whistles. That does it for this practice. The hit by Kelce was deemed a cheap shot. Kelce even said himself it wasn't okay, and that as the leader of this team, he has to be better. Kenny Gainwell also, with some juicy quotes, he said, we kicked the Colts' ass in that joint practice. Here's the direct quote, we're a team. We aren't going to let anybody come into our house and take over. We'll continue to work hard each and every day. We whooped their ass, though. I love that confidence there from Kenneth Gainwell. Devontae Smith has had a great training camp up to this point. Once again, one-on-ones, 11-on-11s. He was unstoppable, making play after play. The linebacker situation looks as though it is coming into a situation where it's going to be Nakobe Dean starting and then Zach Cunningham beside him. And then Christian Ellis is going to kind of rotate in and get some of those snaps as well. We know that Miles Jack retired on Sunday. And I think that Nicholas Morrow might be a surprise cut for Philadelphia here. But the starting backers, it's looking like it's going to be Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham with Ellis filling in. Nakobe Dean had that great play against Cleveland, shot the gap, forced a fumble on the 1-yard line. Then Zach Cunningham was all over the field in that game against Cleveland as well. I thought that he was making some really instinctual plays at that linebacker spot. Sidney Brown continues to make plays for this Eagles defense basically every day, whether he's on the first-string defense or second-string defense. He laid another massive lick today that caused a pass breakup. Jalen Carter continues to get first-team reps as well. You probably saw our feature on him yesterday. If you didn't, go back and watch it. It was certainly a video that did well on the channel, but we looked at Jalen Carter, what makes him special, what his teammates have said about him, and he continues to get first-team reps. I think he's going to have a significant workload as a rookie. For Anthony Richardson, the Colts quarterback, freak athlete, polarizing prospect, but is extremely raw, and you could certainly see that in South Philadelphia today. He can make every single throw on the football field, but as far as him just needing to work on some of the kinks when it comes down to quarterbacking, hasn't played a lot, threw 17 touchdowns, 9 picks last year at Florida. Completion percentage was under 60%, but Shane Steichen, former Eagles offensive coordinator, has done a great job with a couple of young quarterbacks. Justin Herbert had a rookie season that broke some records, and Jalen Hurts last year was runner-up in MVP. We saw the development under Steichen for Jalen Hurts. So can Anthony Richardson be the next young quarterback that Shane Steichen can mold? The Eagles defense definitely stout today. The Colts not able to really get a touchdown in a real live situation. A.J. Brown continues to be dominant in one-on-one drills. Jordan Davis had a sack of Anthony Richardson. It's good to see him get going. Kenny Gainwell threw a trick pass to Grant Calcaterra. And what's cool about this is that some of the Eagles players said that Shane Steichen actually implemented that play into the playbook, and then Gainwell threw it to Calcaterra in this joint practice. So worlds colliding there. Justin Evans, the safety, getting first-team work, as did Terrell Edmunds and Sidney Brown. So I think what Philadelphia is going to do here, they might run with these safeties. Reed Blankenship's going to start. Terrell Edmunds, Kayvon Wallace, Justin Evans, or Sidney Brown might be the other starter. But I think those latter four are also going to make the team. I think Philadelphia might have 5 safeties on this unit. And if Justin Evans, this late in the process, is still getting solid reps and first-team reps, then that tells me they like what he's able to do. And then Mekhi Garner, we've been talking about him maybe stepping in for Zech McPherson, backup slot. He had an interception in one-on-one drills and then very nicely just handed that football off to the wide receiver. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Whenever the Eagles make a move, we're of course going to talk about it. 444 people away from 49,000 subscribers. So if you're looking for year-round Eagles content, hit that sub button right now, especially if you're coming across the show for the first time. And if you are subscribed, type me down in the comment section right now as I read this injury report. And everybody who types me, I'm giving you a shout out. Eagles injury report today: Britton Covey, Kyron Johnson, Moro Ojomo, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, Greg Ward did not practice. Covey has a hamstring. Kyron Johnson, appendectomy. Moro Ojomo still with that concussion. Hassan Reddick, thumb. Nolan Smith, shoulder. Greg Ward, ankle. So my boy Brandon Ford was asking earlier, any update on Nolan Smith? Not believed to be serious, but serious enough to not have him play in practice today. Reed is subscribed to the show. Chuck S., checking in from your previous stomping grounds, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. Chuck, thanks so much for following my journey, tuning into the show. I did work at WNEP, lived in West Scranton for a few years, and covered 17 counties in northeastern Pennsylvania. So, Chuck, it's good to hear from you. Reed, Brian, DF Hennessy, T. Boog, Ernesto, Brendan, Jeffrey, Nick, Mr. Awesome Guy, William, Lamont, Peter, David, JB, Michael Baldwin, Grom Grim Fist, Chris Scott, and Philly Freak, all typing me because it all means that they're real ones and they're subscribed to the show. If you want to be a part of the show today, use the hashtag Eagles to get your questions answered, or if you have a really good hot take, you can relay those to me as well. Just use the hashtag Eagles because my boy, who a lot of people are familiar with, if you've been watching the show, Jake Chipper, he's a producer for today's show, and we see how many comments come in, right? It just makes his job easier with being able to filter through all those comments to pop up hashtag Eagles. So if you want to talk birds, use hashtag Eagles, and we'll answer those questions in a mailbag coming up here in just a little bit. If you want to support the show today, there's a couple of ways for you to do that, and I'll read that after I sip this tea here. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today because my desk mate here at Chat Sports may have gotten me sick. It's okay, Petey. It's okay, but I'm not feeling that hot. But I need some tea to get me through the show today. Chip, if we want to tell people how they could support the show, we're about to tell you how you can indeed support the show. Dawood is typing me. He's subscribed to the show. Nicholas, oh, that's cool. I'm from Wilkes-Barre too. Nice, Nicholas Lamoureux, I believe is how you pronounce that. Nicholas in the 570. I know we have a lot of people tuned in from the 570. If that's the case, type 570 right now. Isaac Martinez, where's the fight video? So Isaac, Chip asked me the same question. Is there a video of this fight from today? When these practices are going on, teams don't allow reporters to take videos. Otherwise, they kick them out and they lose their credentials because they don't want those videos circulating on the internet where teams can get insight on what the scheme is that they're running. So no video. All we have is tweets, and those are the tweets and those are the reports that I was passing along just a little while ago. 2 fights. One, Derek Barnett was involved, and then Kenny Gainwell took a late shot, and then Jason Kelsey just dump truck Zaire Franklin. And that was the beef that actually ended the joint practices today. All right, if you want to support the show, a couple of ways for you to do that. Hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. You can subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles now. You can comment and share your thoughts. Share the video. Most importantly, though, just be a real one. And be a real one by showing us some love and hitting that thumbs up icon. We have 183 people watching live right now. That number is going to continue to grow. But if we want more people in here, we need more likes. And with that many people watching, it's kind of a crime we're not already at 100 likes or so. So if you're ready for the official show to start, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Let's go Birds. And I'm really excited to dive into today's show because we have a loaded cast coming your way. We're not going to do any drinking on today's show, but if you want to send in a super chat, obviously we appreciate that. I'm just feeling a little bit under the weather, so I actually might go home after the show to try to rest up. I've had the chills all day. I've been shivering here, and it's like 110 degrees here in Dallas, but all good. Dennis Designs dropped a few links to your channel at the press conference today. Dennis Designs, that's a real one right there. We're up to 57 likes. Can we get to 70 likes before we start the show? 173 people kicking it with us here. Hopefully that number continues to blossom all throughout the afternoon. 14 more likes and then we'll start the official show. As for what we're talking about, we already checked off this box. Eagles, Colts, training camp, joint practice reaction. I'm going to explain why the Philadelphia Eagles do not need to trade for Jonathan Taylor. I saw this all across the internet this morning. I've had some Eagles fans reach out to me. Chase, we should go after Jonathan Taylor. Or radio stations and TV stations in Philadelphia posing the question, should the Eagles go after Jonathan Taylor? They have the draft capital in order to do that. I'm going to explain why Philadelphia does not need Jonathan Taylor. We'll also do a Eagles 53-man roster projection and then a Q&A to round things out. So get those questions in now by using the hashtag Eagles or Super Chat. I'm going to challenge all of you right now. We have 172 people watching live. We're about to begin the official show. 72 likes. Can we get to 100 likes by the time that this segment is over? I'm putting you to the test right now. Show off that passion. We certainly appreciate the support. Chip, we could go short intro screen here, presented by Kanzuri, and then dive into that player card L3 to start things off. Reed, you're a real one, Chase. Appreciate you pushing through. Salute, man. I would not miss it. Mr. NM True saying me. He's subscribed to the show. You love to see that as well. Tyler the Tough Rider is in Atlanta. Kylie Caperton, any word who is starting the game on Thursday night? Not as of right now. We are not sure. So we're 20 likes away from 100. In 15 minutes, when I'm done this segment, can we get there? It's up to you to determine that. The official show here on Philadelphia Eagles Now is about to begin. Chip, you ready to rock? Everybody out there is ready to rock? EAGLES, go Birds. And let's start the official show right now. What's up and welcome in. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. I am Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And it's all sponsored by Kanzuri. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. We'll tell you more about our presenting sponsor coming up here just around the corner. As for the subject matter at hand today, I'm going to explain why the Philadelphia Eagles do not need Jonathan Taylor. A lot of radio stations in Philadelphia, television stations in Philadelphia, Eagles fans reaching out to me, posing the question, should Howie Roseman use one of the many picks that they have in the 2024 NFL Draft and trade for Taylor? It's not necessarily a position of need for Philadelphia, but he's a really good player, and Nick Sirianni has a background with JT. The Indianapolis Colts have given him permission to seek a trade after weeks of the two sides clashing. Before we dive into all of this is why you subscribe to the show. Whenever the Eagles do make a move, whether it's a signing, whether it's a release, roster move, injury report, a big trade out there, we talk about it here on Eagles Now. The standard for Eagles coverage on YouTube, we're 444 people away from 49,000 subscribers, so hit that sub button right now. Ian Rappaport breaking the news yesterday on Monday that the Colts have given star running back Jonathan Taylor permission to seek a trade, and conversations to find potential landing spots are ongoing. Several general managers and talent evaluators were informed earlier today that Taylor is indeed available. And with the Colts in Philadelphia for these joint practices, he was on hand today. Stephen Holder covers the Colts. As for the asking price, he has you covered. The Colts are seeking a first-round pick or package of picks that equates to as much in a potential Jonathan Taylor trade. Now, there's some more reports out there that the Colts want kind of what the San Francisco 49ers gave up for Christian McCaffrey. That was several picks, including a second-rounder, not a first-rounder. I'd be hard-pressed to believe that a team across the NFL with a running back who was injured last year, going into the final year of his rookie contract, is going to net a first-round pick back. The financials at play here, that's of course important in this conversation. Jonathan Taylor is entering the final year of his rookie contract, as I said, and he wants to become one of the highest-paid running backs in the National Football League. And you look at that list, does JT deserve to be in this category of the top 10 highest-paid backs in the league? Well, 2 years ago, he led the NFL in rushing. He certainly has a lot of talent on his plate. Christian McCaffrey, the leader here, $16 million per year. And then you look at some of the other players on this list like Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley now on that one-year restructure, avoiding the franchise tag, making just north of $10 million. I frankly think that that is a bargain for the New York Giants. Tony Pollard, same deal. Josh Jacobs on that franchise tag. James Conner at $7 million, and then Dalvin Cook at $7 million. So there's no question that Jonathan Taylor deserves to be among those running backs as far as average annual value. Is he top 5? Maybe, and I think he certainly has an argument there. And there's no doubt that Jonathan Taylor is a really special running back. Like, don't get it twisted. But the Eagles do not value that position enough to make a trade for Taylor in giving up the draft capital that the Colts are seeking, but to sign him to a contract extension beyond this year. And why I wouldn't do it if I'm Philadelphia, I've said this all along, all throughout this offseason. The Eagles' running back room is talented. It is versatile. This Eagles running back room, ladies and gentlemen, is also very cheap. And that's the way that Howie Roseman likes to do business here. He doesn't like paying his backs all that much money. And I'm running forward with this group at that running back position. Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, they can be successful in this offense. They can win you games. And I think that this is a unit that you can certainly win with and have success with in running the football, given the system, the scheme, the offensive line, Jalen Hurts posing a running threat, but also what we've seen from these players. Have any of these guys been a bell cow back of Jonathan Taylor? No. But the Eagles have said we might want to go running back by approach. And this is the perfect group to do that with. And I like the versatility that they have because you have a couple of pass catchers here, a couple of 3-down backs, short yardage backs, and then you have a difference in size, speed, and weight combinations as well. And going back to my original point of the Eagles not spending money at that running back spot, here's a look at their offensive spending this year. Total offense. You might think about all the dynamic playmakers that Howie Roseman has on this team. All offense, 25th, just $99 million total to their entire offensive unit. Quarterback, 24th. That's, of course, before the Jalen Hurts contract extension comes into play in a couple of years. Offensive line, 10th, but we know that Howie Roseman likes to invest in the trenches. Running back, 23rd. Wide receiver, 22nd. And tight end, 17th. More on that and more on Jonathan Taylor coming up here in just a moment. But first, I told you off the top, Kanzuri, today's presenting sponsor. Take a look at their height-boosting shoes that are also very, very stylish as well, and you can get 15% off at kanzuri.com/chat. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Have you ever wished, my fellas out there, that you were a little bit taller? Maybe you matched on Tinder, but her profile says must be over 6 feet. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but she can't because it'll make her taller than you. Well, I have the short kings covered, all of the real ones out there with Kanzuri. They make shoes that make you up to 2.8 inches taller without anyone knowing. Look, girls get heels, makeup, push-up bras. Why can't men get a confidence boost as well? Kanzuri shoes, not only height boosting, but also stylish. We're showing you them on the screen here. They're not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but instead fashionable shoes that can receive compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles integrated into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. And for a limited time only, our listeners, our viewers, get an extra 15% off your order at kanzuri.com/chat. This site is already 30% off, and with our link, you get that extra 15% off. Simple math, that's 45% off your entire order. Support our show. Check them out, kanzuri.com/chat. Life's short. You don't have to be. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. And you know the motto out there when it comes to fashion and clothes, look good, feel good, play good, just like the Eagles do every single Sunday. So let's progress in this conversation about Jonathan Taylor here. We took a look, at the Eagles' positional spending. How about running back spending and where they rank in the NFL with how much money they're paying all of the backs on their roster? 23rd in the NFL. That is a total of $7.09 million this year. Jonathan Taylor is going to want a lot more than that. Again, special player, very productive player. Coming off an injury-plagued season, but still in 11 games last year, 192 carries, 861 yards in those 11 games behind a bad offensive line, bad quarterback play, awful defense, 4 touchdowns, 4.5 yards per carry. But the year before that in 2021, that's when he solidified himself as one of the best backs in the game. Led the NFL in rushing, 332 carries, 1,800-plus yards, and 18 touchdowns. And then the 2 previous years before that, he's also played really well. His rookie campaign, still more than 1,100 yards as he was able to burst onto the scene out of Wisconsin. So today's poll question is this. We want to hear from you down in the comments section here. Should the Eagles trade for Jonathan Taylor? T for trade, P for pass. I'm typing my pass all day for the reasons that I talked about. But coming up next on the show, how the Eagles have connections to Jonathan Taylor. And that's what makes this conversation very interesting when you enter Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman into the fold. Why the Birds can make it work. Nick Sirianni actually was the Colts offensive coordinator when Jonathan Taylor was drafted. And he went nuts in a video that has since gone viral during draft night when he fell to Indianapolis a couple of years ago. Sirianni was pumped when the Colts got him because he looked at Taylor as another weapon in Frank Reich's offense. Also with Indianapolis, the Colts ideally would like to trade him out of the AFC. To the NFC, that's where Philadelphia calls home, and they don't have to worry about Jonathan Taylor, especially for a couple of years because Philadelphia just played Indy last year. Philadelphia's also made deals with the Colts in the past. They have done business with one another, namely the Carson Wentz deal in which Philadelphia and Howie Roseman fleeced Indy. And the Eagles, a great spot for Jonathan Taylor. If he were to look at destinations he could go to have a great year, set himself up for a big payday, and play with a loaded supporting cast, Philadelphia can offer all of that. Hurts, offensive line, the system is running back friendly, and Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson, they like running the rock. As for the in-depth numbers for the offensive line for Philadelphia, last year, this is why Jonathan Taylor might like to come to the city of brotherly love. Eagles offensive line generated 3 or more yards before contact at the 8th highest rate in the NFL last year. And this offensive line, yes, you do lose Isaac Seumalo, but they're still one of the best units in the National Football League. Jordan Mailata at left tackle, Landon Dickerson at left guard, Jason Kelsey, who laid out Zaire Franklin at that practice today at center, Cam Jurgens at right guard, Lane Johnson at right tackle. The depth along the offensive line, somewhat concerning, but maybe fewer worries now because Tyler Steen is playing backup guard, backup tackle. Looks as though Philadelphia may have hit on that draft pick. Some people are worried about Cam Jurgens because today against Indy in those joint practices, he struggled a little bit. But if there's one offensive line coach I trust to maximize him at a new position, it is Jeff Stoutland. I'm cool with the backs on this roster. That's really what this comes down to. I don't think the Philadelphia wants to invest in a player like JT, give up draft capital. And when you look at the backs who are on this team, they've been productive, and they're also very affordable, as we've outlined. And Kenny Gainwell showed last year, especially in the NFL playoffs, as we're about to show you, that he could be a productive back in this league. And last year, it was kind of Miles Sanders as that back on first and second down. Gainwell would come in and be the pass-catching back. The production, obviously, somewhat limited, but you certainly see the ability. 291 carries in year 1, 240 in year 2, combining for 9 touchdowns on the ground. Yards per catch, pretty damn good. He can also catch the football. 33 catches in 23 the last 2 years. Really, in the NFL playoffs, that's when Kenny Gainwell had his coming out party. He was one of the best backs in all of playoff football last year en route to that Super Bowl. 33 carries, 181 yards, a touchdown, 5.5 yards per tote. And then you look at DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift led all running backs in yards per touch last year. So you have Gainwell, who is this emerging back, who's affordable, who's versatile. And then you have Swift, who's also versatile, who, again, led the NFL as far as running backs go in yards per touch. He's been a little bit banged up, so that's a little bit of a concern. But for Philadelphia, he's not going to be the bell cow back. I really do like his pass-catching ability, as evidenced by what he's done his first 3 years. Look at the usage out of the backfield here for Swift. And ever since I've been around with Andy Reid and then Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, now Nick Sirianni, Philadelphia does put an emphasis on throwing the ball to backs, on bubble screens, on wheel routes, on screen passes, pop passes, shovel passes. They like to utilize the players in that regard. And Swift, he's had success in doing that. 46 catches, 62 and 48 through his first 3 years since coming out of Georgia. The Philadelphia native who went to St. Joe's Prep. I'm excited to see what number 0 can do with the Eagles. So should the Eagles trade for Taylor? We're going to circle back to today's poll question. If you didn't get your votes in then, get those votes in now. T for trade, P for pass. Thanks for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe to us here on Eagles Now. All right, let's give you some shout-outs here. Give you some shout-outs. Aiden. Typing a T. Peter Thurman. Typing a P. Reed, send him to Washington. I think Washington's a good spot. I like Brian Robinson. Look out for Dallas. I know that Deuce Vaughn has had a great preseason, but Dallas, they lost Zeke. Tony Pollard, serious injury. They do have Deuce Vaughn, but Jonathan Taylor, he's better than those backs on that roster. Brian Thomas using the hashtag Eagles. Grom Grim Fist using the hashtag Eagles. For those of you coming across the show, this is how you support us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Subscribe to us here on Eagles Now. Comment and share your thoughts. Share the video and be a real one. We did have a super chat that came in, $2. I don't think we hit that yet, but since I'm not feeling well, my mind is all over the place right now trying to battle through this. Yo, for show with the $2 donation. Love the Kelly Green jersey on the profile picture, man. That's fresh. Enough targets to go around for DG, DS, and A.J. Brown. You're talking about Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. I think so. I mean, Chip, last year you can put your mic on. Eagles didn't have any problems at all with distributing the football. They were actually really successful in doing so. I liked how they were able to have a well-rounded approach.
No, I mean, no problems at all last year, as you saw. And I think this year, you might not see the same record-breaking numbers you saw last year.
Yeah.
But they've shown they can spread the ball around, and there will be more than enough to go around for all those three guys.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Brian Johnson, first-time offensive coordinator, especially going up against a guy like Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick has exposed some young coaches in this league. But Philadelphia is plenty talented to beat New England week 1, and that is our pinned question on the stream. Are you worried about the Patriots week 1? 81% saying no, the Eagles are better. 19% yes, tough opponent to start. I love the confidence there for all Eagles fans out there. All right, coming up next on the show, we're going to continue to keep it moving. We've already gone over our instant reaction from joint practice. We took a look at the Jonathan Taylor trade rumors and why I would not make the move. And now what we're going to do, an Eagles 53-man roster projection. That is segment number 2 coming up here on the show. If anybody wants to continue to donate, support the program, send in a super chat. It's the rectangular box with the $ through it. We certainly appreciate that. All right, segment number 2, it is coming up. Just make sure Eagles on that graphic there, Chip. Eagles roster projection. So this is pretty interesting because all teams in the NFL cutting down their rosters to 53 players on Tuesday. So a week from today, August 29th. Normally, there is a previous roster cut down or two to trim the rosters down a couple of times. Now, though, just because of health reasons, they have one overall cut. So it is going to be a day in which a lot of players do get let go across the NFL. Roster projection coming up a week out from roster cutdown day and heading into this final preseason game. Let's get it right now. Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, all teams across the NFL will be cutting down their rosters to 53 players in preparation for opening day on Tuesday, August 29th. So on today's show, Eagles roster projection, who I think is going to make this club. First, though, you take a look at our programming schedule for what's to come over the next few days. Another watch party coming up on Thursday as the Birds play host to the Indianapolis Colts. Not sure if Nick Sirianni is going to play his starters or not. He has not said that yet. As of Tuesday's recording, I hope so. I think it's important. And frankly, I'd like to watch the first string offense and defense. And then when the Eagles do cut down that 53-man roster, we're going to talk about it here on the show because that's what we do. So without further ado, let's take a look at the quarterback position. Now, Philadelphia, under Nick Sirianni, sometimes under Doug Peterson, they've held 2 quarterbacks on the active 53-man roster. But Tanner McKee has played so well that I think Philadelphia has to go with 3 quarterbacks on the 53. If you cut Tanner McKee, another team is going to scoop him up in a heartbeat, considering what he's been able to put on tape throughout the preseason. Timing, anticipation, big balls, throws, able to throw the ball downfield. He's been able to do some very mature quarterback things at that spot, and Philadelphia has to be thrilled with his development. I don't think they're going to cut bait with Marcus Mariota yet, so I'm going 3 quarterbacks on the 53 for Philadelphia. To running back now, a position group that I think has been set in stone since after the Eagles preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. Because Trey Sermon fumbled, he missed in pass pro. I think he's on the outside looking in. I think that he is going to get cut. As for the running backs that I think Philadelphia is going to keep, Kenneth Gainwell, DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, they are shoo-ins to make this team, Chip, if we could go to running back. And then Rashad Penny, I think, has earned a roster spot. Wasn't high on what he did week 1 of the preseason against Baltimore, but showed me some things in that game. But throughout training camp, he's steadily been used and got some first-team reps along the way, so I think he's going to make this team as well. And the Eagles do need that short yardage physical back. Rashad Penny can fit that bill if he's able to stay healthy. At wide receiver, tough decisions here, man. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, easy. Olamide Zaccheaus, easy. After that, how many receivers do you want on the 53? And if it's 5, is Britton Covey going to make it? He's been out for a little while because of a hamstring injury. If Britton Covey does not make the team, who takes over as the team's return man? He has been trusted in that role. I think Philadelphia likes him in that role. If you go 6, I wouldn't hate Joseph Nagata, but I think that is a player who Philadelphia could bring back on the practice squad. So 5 wideouts, it could be 6 for Howie Roseman and company. To tight end. Good roster battle here as far as the backups go. Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. After that, Jack Stoll is serviceable. And the Eagles spent a draft pick 2 years ago on Grant Calcaterra, and he looks to be a very talented pass catcher in this league. Tough to let go of Tyree Jackson. The athletic freakiness that he has, you saw him galloping in the open field after taking that feed from Tanner McKee against Cleveland. Tough to move off of size like that, but again, this Eagles team is so loaded that they might only hold 3 tight ends so that they can hold another player at another deeper position. Offensive line. I didn't have too much of a difficult time along the trenches here on the offensive side of the football. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Cam Jurgens, and Lane Johnson. That is your starting 5 up front. After that, Jack Driscoll is your swing tackle. Tyler Steen, I think, has made Dennis Kelly be on the roster bubble. And I don't think that Kelly, for my roster projection, is going to make the team because Steen has this nasty streak to him. He could play backup guard. He could play backup tackle. So basically, you have 2 swing tackles in Driscoll as well as Steen. That's really valuable. And then the backup center spot, Philadelphia might not have one on the roster, but if Jason Kelsey were to get hurt, Cam Jurgens slides in there, and then you can put a Sua Opeta, a Josh Sills, a Tyler Steen at right guard. So that's 9 total offensive linemen for the Eagles offense. Grade the Eagles roster as a whole. I want to hear from you down in the comment section right now. A, B, C, D, or F. How do you think this roster shakes out? And as we look ahead to Thursday's game, get those bets in with our sportsbook partner, BetUS, the best sportsbook in the game, with the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer. You plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/EaglesBet, promo code Eagles125. You get that 125% deposit bonus. What that means is you put in $100, you get $125 back. That's $225 to game with. Preseason betting odds for some Thursday night football. The Colts, 4.5-point favorites. So Philadelphia, in every preseason game so far, they have been underdogs. And then the over-under still very low because there's not a lot of scoring in the preseason at 38 flat. Now let's segue to the defensive side of the ball. Edge defender specifically. Hassan Reddick, hopefully he's back week 1 with that thumb surgery. Josh Sweat, 11 sacks last year. Brandon Graham with 11. Hassan Reddick had those 16, 3.5 more in the playoffs. Nolan Smith, no practice on Tuesday, but I think that shoulder injury is going to be fine. I think because the Eagles restructured Derek Barnett's contract, he's going to make this team, but my goodness, if he commits some more dumbass penalties, I'm going to lose my mind. And then Patrick Johnson, been out for a little while because of that ankle injury, but is a good special teams player, and you already lost 2 special teams aces at the Sean Bradley spot, I should say, as well as Zach McPherson. So that's the edge defenders. How about the interior defensive linemen? Eagles are pretty stacked here, and a guy like Contavious Strait might not make the team, but that's a byproduct of the Eagles being really deep on the interior of this defensive line. Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and I think that Marlon Tupuoluto will make the team, and he's a very serviceable backup defensive tackle. I think Milton Williams is due for a big year. I think Jalen Carter can see legit number 1 snaps right from the jump, even if he's not the starter at defensive tackle. Linebacker, I'm going only 3 here. And I think what Sean Desai might do, a lot of nickel sets, where you load that secondary with a lot of cornerbacks in the nickel slot spot, and then you only have 3 linebackers. And if an injury happens, of course, then you can find a way to pick up a linebacker off the scrap heap. I think that these linebackers are going to have some pressure taken off of them because the defensive line is going to occupy so much attention up front, and they're going to have free lanes to make plays like Nakobe did against the Browns on the goal line, forcing that fumble last week. But Nakobe Dean, Christian Ellis, Zach Cunningham, I think those are the three backers that make it, and I think the starters will be Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham, the latter of which played very well against Cleveland. Cornerback, the Eagles are deep here. Darius Slay and James Bradbury are your top outside corners. Avonte Maddox will start on the inside. Josh Jobe, high-level backup, and good for him. He was the UDFA last year out of Alabama who made the 53-man roster, and he could play. He's showing it once again in year 2. Keely Ringo, just because of his upside and potential, will make the team as a former 4th-round pick. Look for Mario Goodrich to back up Avonte Maddox, and some people have Eli Ricks not making this team. Josiah Scott on the outside looking in. Mekhi Garner on the outside looking in. Look, you can't teach length, speed, instincts at that cornerback spot, and Eli Ricks will get picked up in a hurry, in a blink by another team across the NFL. I'm keeping them. That's 7 total defensive backs for the Eagles here. Now to safety. Oftentimes, you don't see teams have 5 of them, but I'm reading the tea leaves here because in practice this week, Justin Evans getting first-team reps. Kayvon Wallace, first-team reps throughout training camp. Terrell Edmonds, first-team reps throughout training camp. Sidney Brown, same can be said for him. So if all 4 of these players who are competing to start opposite of Reed Blankenship are getting first-team reps, that tells me Philadelphia likes them all. And can any of them contribute on special teams? I know Sidney Brown can. Kayvon Wallace has a lot of experience doing so. And Justin Evans, can he fill in on special teams as well? 5 safeties for Philadelphia. A little bit of a rarity, but again, they could decide to go with a lot of cornerback safety-heavy packages to make up for not having a lot of linebackers. And then, of course, you can't forget your specialists because punters are people too, kickers are people too, long snappers are people too. Jake Elliott, one of the best kickers in the league. Rick Lovato, very good long snapper. Dave Spadaro, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, said, going into Thursday's game against Indy, Aaron Siposs knows that the pressure is on him. Philadelphia already cut Ty Zettner. He was garbage against the Browns. Siposs hasn't been dramatically better throughout training camp. I've said it. As long as Matt Araiza is cleared, I'd think about bringing him in. If Aaron Siposs struggles, look for Philadelphia to cut him, and then they have to find a new punter out there. So give me a Go Birds down in the chat. We appreciate you for tuning into the roster projection segment here on Eagles Now. Let me know how I did as well. A, B, C, D, or F. We appreciate you for tuning into the program today. All right, another great audience here on Eagles Now. Voice starting to go a little bit, but we're powering through. Use the hashtag Eagles or Super Chat to be a part of the show. Coming up next, a mailbag where we take all of your questions. Nick Stone, Lamont, Kane, Dennis Designs, Toy Denity, Rob High, all giving a Go Birds in the chat. You'd love to see that. We're at $2 in Super Chats. Not really pushing Super Chats today because I am under the weather. Might go home after this, honestly. Austin Boy, using the hashtag Eagles. Brian Thomas, Go Birds, chases A+. Thank you, brother, so much. Flipping the Bird 85, saying, Go Birds! I can't really scream because my voice is starting to go with one segment left. If you want to support the show, here's how you do it. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. Subscribe to us here on Eagles Now because if you ain't subscribed, you simply ain't alive. Comment and share your thoughts like a lot of people have. Share the video, and of course, you can be a real one as well. So last segment, we're going to do a mailbag. Let me sip some tea because I'm sickly. So hashtag Eagles to get those questions in. Andrew Nathan. Chipper, get this man some ginger tea from Starbucks. I had some tea right here. So I'm battling through, man. I'm battling through. Mr. Awesome Guy with the question. That's good stuff. Hashtag Eagles, last chance to get on the show. We'll do a mailbag before we hop on out. Reed, T Beer Bong. Hey, $50, T Beer Bong. I will do it. I'll do a T Beer Bong for $50, no doubt. All right. Do we have enough questions? Cool. We should have enough. Awesome. Elijah Stovall in the building. Not sure which cut or keep, but I'd go with one less at safety, 4 at linebacker. Overall A, though. Salute, brother. Yeah, that's going to be a difficult one, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. Again, that's just me like reading the tea leaves from what they did at practice on Tuesday. Clearly, they're high enough on Justin Evans to give him first-team reps, right? Former second-round pick, missed a couple of years because of a torn Achilles, but if he's getting first-team reps on a Tuesday, and a week from today, they're expected to cut down that roster of 53, I mean, that tells me that they like the player. So maybe it's just too much of a gridlock position for them to have him on that team, and then they keep another linebacker. Let me also pose this, though. Which other off-ball linebackers deserve to make the team? I don't think you're just going to have an off-ball linebacker make the team if, they don't deserve to make it just because you don't have that many. So definitely very, very interesting for sure. All right. Eagles Now Mailbag is our last and final segment, and it's coming up right now live on the show. We're going to do a Philadelphia Eagles Now Mailbag where we open up the floor and answer all of your questions heading into the preseason finale against the Indianapolis Colts. I can't believe that the regular season, as Philadelphia travels up to Foxborough to take on the Patriots for opening weekend, is going to be here before we know it. I'll tell you this, though, I cannot wait. And I can't wait for our last preseason watch party. Hopefully Nick Sirianni decides to play his starters. We're not sure exactly yet what Philadelphia's plan is there, and hopefully we get to see Anthony Richardson as well, the quarterback out of Florida, who Shane Steichen is trying to develop into the next superstar at that quarterback spot. The former Eagles offensive coordinator has done wonders in Jalen Hurts' development, Justin Herbert's development. Can he do the same with Anthony Richardson? Our Eagles-Colts watch party will begin Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. It all gets underway with an hour pregame show, so make sure you subscribe. Most importantly, though, hit that bell icon. Turn on your notifications. Therefore, whenever we push out a video, whenever we do go live, you will be notified. Today's show is sponsored by Kanzuri. You can get 25% off their height-boosting shoes. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. It is kanzuri.com/chat, and we'll tell you more about them here in just a bit. Leonard Knight getting us kicked off here. Hey, Chase, love the show. Appreciate you, brother. Who are some players on the roster bubble heading into the last preseason game? Very, very good question. I think that Trey Sermon is a roster bubble player. Dennis Kelly is on the roster bubble. A player in the 7th round like Moro Ajomo could be on the roster bubble. He's not going to be able to play, though, because of that concussion. So I wonder if something happens there where the Eagles agree to some type of injury settlement. They put him on IR to bring him back if he clears waivers. Joseph Nagata is a player who I think is on the roster bubble. Nicholas Morrow can fit into that category and conversation as well because I think the Eagles actually like Nakobe Dean, Christian Ellis, and Zach Cunningham. The young defensive backs are fringe roster types at this point. Eli Ricks, Mekhi Garner, Josiah Scott, players like that are definitely on that roster bubble. A player like Justin Evans at safety on the roster bubble as well. So as you take a look at this entire roster, some difficult decisions to make. And Greg Ward, one of those players too, who might be deserving of a roster spot as well. And you can say the same thing about Britton Covey as well. Eagles fan Kylie Caperton. Are they playing Mariota on Thursday night, or are they playing another QB like Tanner McKee? So Nick Sirianni, as of this recording on Tuesday, as we're live right now, has not said if he's going to play his starters or not. I personally would. I think it's important for them to see at least some game action when some real live bullets are flying, just to get acclimated with the speed of the game. The joint practices are one thing. The intensity of a game flow is another. So I hope that Jalen Hurts starts. We see minimal Marcus Mariota. And I actually want to see a lot of Tanner McKee again because he's been highly impressive. Don't even play Ian Book. It's just a waste of time. Reed Barkus, one of our Real One OGs, going through our entire schedule. What do you think is a realistic record? So Philadelphia last year, number 1 in the NFC with 14 wins. They tied the Kansas City Chiefs for the most wins in the National Football League. It is very difficult to win 14 games back-to-back years while also staying as healthy as the Eagles did last year. They were top 4 in injury rate. So they're one of the healthiest teams. If they stay healthy, they might be able to duplicate those 14 wins, but I think it's realistically going to more so be 11 or 12 just because the NFL is a league of parity. And when I look at this schedule, it's important and imperative for Philadelphia to start off hot. Patriots, Vikings, Bucks, Commanders, Rams. You really should win all of those games. If you're as legit as the Eagles are, after that, Jets, Dolphins, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Cowboys on the road against Seattle. And then you round out Giants, Cardinals, Giants. So that middle portion of the schedule, very, very difficult. And then you have the Giants 2 times the last 3 weeks. Now, Philadelphia did have the best record against teams with a winning record last year, but they had their work cut out for them this year. So I'm going to say anywhere between 11 and 12 wins, maybe 13. Who you got? Thursday Night Football, live here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Type PHI for the Birds. Type IND for the Indianapolis Colts. During the joint practice on Tuesday, these two teams fought. It was very intense, and maybe it makes do for another intense environment at Lincoln Financial Field in South Philly on Thursday as well. Now, as I mentioned off the rip, get 50% off Kanzuri at kanzuri.com/chat for their height-boosting shoes. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. If I said 25% off earlier, I meant 15% off. I'm sick right now, trying to do my job. But Kanzuri, have you ever wished that you were a little bit taller? To all my homies out there, maybe you matched on Tinder, but our profile says must be over 6 feet tall. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but you can't because it'll make her taller than you. Well, I have the Short Kings covered with today's sponsor, Kanzuri. Kanzuri makes shoes that make you up to 2.8 inches taller without anyone knowing. Look, girls get heels, makeup, push-up bras. Why can't men get a confidence boost as well? Kanzuri shoes, not only height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They're not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but instead fashionable shoes that can receive compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles integrated into the shoes, actually, making it the ultimate height hack, and for a limited time only. Our listeners get an extra 15% off your order at kanzuri.com/chat. The site is already 30% off, and with our link, you get an extra 15%. I failed elementary algebra at Temple University. I can tell you, though, that's 45% off your entire order. So support our show. Check them out, kanzuri.com/chat. Life's short. You don't have to be. It's time to level up the playing field, fellas. Maybe update that dating profile to 6 feet. Kanzuri, game changer when it comes to your dating life. And as you can see, athletic wear, dress shoes, all of them very, very comfortable. And you can get hooked up down in the comment section and description of this video. Let's continue to take your questions live here on Philadelphia Eagles Now as we have the best subscribers on earth. Jason Music, why not trade Derek Barnett, Rashad Penny, and a third rounder for Taylor? You throw in Edmonds as well. So Derek Barnett, expiring contract. Rashad Penny, expiring contract. Terrell Edmonds, expiring contract. They're all in the final year of their deals, or they signed one-year deals in the case of Rashad Penny and Terrell Edmonds. And a third-round pick might be enticing to Indianapolis, but Jonathan Taylor led the NFL in rushing 2 years ago, back in 2021. So they're not going to give them away for players who they're probably not going to keep, and frankly, they can get better players back as far as draft capital and or player capital. So Jay said, I just don't think that's realistic. They kind of want that package that the Niners gave up for Christian McCaffrey. Brian Thomas, what's the current status of Matt Araiza? Any Eagles front office interested in him? I would be interested in him. He was found not guilty. I think that his defense was able to prove that he was not at the scene of what happened. And it's a interesting legal situation, but as of right now, hasn't been found guilty. And I believe, don't quote me, but I believe, and I know that the sensitivity of a subject matter like this can get a little bit tricky, but I believe he's been cleared of all charges. But for Matt Araiza, he's definitely better than Aaron Sipos. So if everything checks out, I bring him in a heartbeat. Predict the score of Thursday's game. We asked you a little bit earlier who you got. How about you get a little bit more specific here and predict the score? Eagles, Colts coming at you from the link and for our watch party here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Kane Angel, if Jason Kelce retired, who will take the center spot? That's Cam Jurgens. So they literally drafted Cam Jurgens 2 years ago to replace Jason Kelce. He was a very good center at Nebraska. And you know what's funny, Kane, is that Jason Kelce assisted Howie Roseman in finding his replacement. he helped them throughout the draft process. And he went up to Howie and said, if you're going to draft my future replacement, it has to be this guy right here in Cam Jurgens. Love the player, and I trust Jason Kelsey's evaluation there. Eagles fan, Kylie, any word on who is starting the game on Thursday night? No word on who is starting the game on Thursday night yet. If we have that one from Flipping the Bird, 85 there, Chip, we could pop that up as well. Definitely want to get to his question because he's been one of our Super Chat MVPs. It's looking like Sidney Brown is going to start alongside Reed Battleship. I love the nickname of Reed Battleship. Also, that helmet that Flipping the Bird is posing with, Brian Dawkins signed helmet that we gave him last year. What's tricky, Flipping the Bird, is that Sidney Brown, while I love the player, love his range, love his fearlessness, I love his physicality, I've said it all along for months now, the instincts that we're seeing now, something that I've broken down in full detail here on the show. Do you want to start a rookie? Or do you want to ease him in a little bit? Because Jalen Carter, rookie, could be seeing a lot of time. Sidney Brown, rookie, could be seeing a lot of time. So the only way that the Eagles don't would be because they're not too confident in a rookie playing at safety. And sometimes as a safety, things can get nuanced with how opposing offensive coordinators can draw plays up. But I love the future of him, and I think at some point he is going to be a starter and a high-level starter. Brandon Ford, do you think Howie didn't sign a big-name linebacker because he's leaving cap space for Devontae Smith? So Devontae Smith can't be signed until after 2023. The Eagles will have a deadline to give him a fifth-year option and to exercise that. If they exercise that fifth-year option, he'll play under the same salary for 2024, and then he'll get a little bit of a pay increase in 2025, and in turn, he'll be under contract for 2 more years, and then you can try to sign him to a contract extension then. So it doesn't have to do with Devontae Smith right now. He's going into year 3 of what can be a 4 or 5 year rookie deal, so there's not really hurry to do that. And when we talked about signing Smitty to that extension back a few weeks ago, we did talk about that. Like, they're going to have to start to plan for it because Smith has had record-breaking seasons his first 2 years in the NFL, and I think that he's a tremendous player. You can't let a homegrown talent like that get away, who especially means a lot to the culture as well. So start budgeting right now because he's going to get a bag. Yeah, for sure. Do you think our offense is better or worse than last year? I think better, upgraded at running back despite costing less, and Jalen, AJ, Devontae are all going to come out even better. They're going to miss Isaac Seumalo. We'll see what happens with Cam Jurgens. I don't think they're going to miss Miles Sanders too much. I think that running back, and this is kind of my team building philosophy that we see a lot of teams take across the NFL, and I've been saying this for a few years now, replaceable, expendable position where you can find cheap backs via a trade like the Eagles did with Swift, who, among all running backs, led all backs in yards per touch last year. You can find a good running back like Kenneth Gainwell on day 2, day 3, late rounders, UDFAs. So I think that they can replace Miles Sanders. Isaac Seumalo, very good right guard. Jalen can take another step. AJ and Devontae Smith have been unstoppable all training camp. Where I get concerned and why I press pause and why I hesitate to say the offense is going to be better than last year they were great. Last year they set records. Now you have a new offensive coordinator. Could take a little while for them to fully gel. Andrew Nathan, last question to round things off. Who are possible cuts that Philadelphia will bring back to the practice squad? All right. Let me give you a surprise cut who the Eagles won't bring back. A surprise cut for where the Eagles have a need and had a need going into the offseason, and where I expected this player to contribute, but has kind of slipped down the depth chart. And when they signed him in free agency, I was like, this guy had double-digit tackles for loss, more than 100 tackles. Can he be that Kaiser White that Philadelphia had last year? I think so. That's Nicholas Morrow. I think that Nicholas Morrow is going to be a surprise cut. If Aaron Sipos doesn't perform well on Thursday night, he could be a surprise cut. As for players they could bring back to the practice squad, Joseph Nagata, a player like that, maybe a Tyree Jackson or a Brady Russell at that tight end spot. Trying to think of another one. Maybe one of the young DBs, although there are a lot of teams across the NFL who are thin at cornerback. If they cut Eli Ricks, I think he goes somewhere else, but they might try to bring him back onto the practice squad if he does clear waivers. So those are some names that come to mind. Before we hop on out of here, make sure you subscribe. Closing in on 49,000 subscribers. We're less than 500 people away. And if you want real, authentic, consistent, expert analysis on the Eagles that is insightful, informative, and entertaining, this is your go-to spot. Just hit that subscribe button right now. All right, 3 segments down. Easy money. Chip and Chase. Getting it done. Shady Huda. Or is it Shaddy Huda with the $2 super chat? Smitty's episode on the Pivot podcast was a great one. I haven't watched that. I'll have to watch that. We'll pop that super chat up here in just a moment. But yeah, I'll have to watch that. The Pivot, good show. Good show. And I think he's funny, man, because he's like a silent assassin, all cool, calm, and collected. But Devontae Smith, like low-key, has a really good personality. Alex Smith with a good question that we didn't include in the mailbag because I'm seeing it now. Came in after the bell. Devontae or AJ is leading receiver in yards. That's so tough. I think it's going to be neck and neck. Give me Devontae just because AJ last year had that crown, had that belt. What do you think, Chip?
Yeah, I was going to say, I could easily see a situation where maybe AJ leads a team in catches, and then Devontae leads a team in yards.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because last year it was AJ in yards, Smitty in catches. And sometimes because they're such great creators with the ball in their hands, little bubble screen out to the outside, that's an easy catch right there because they're so good in the open field and making guys miss. So it's really a good problem to have when you have 2 good receivers like that. And honestly, I think they're 2 great receivers, not just good. That might be doing it an injustice. Support the show. Make sure you hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, subscribe to Eagles Now, comment, and share your thoughts. Share this video. Most importantly, be a real one. I'm sick, so I'm probably going to go home right after this. But if anybody wants to send in a super chat inside the next 2 minutes, we'll take those. I'm not going to extend the clock, but last call if you want to donate to the show. If not, we'll see you on Thursday for our watch party, and that's when the super chats will really be flowing, and we'll have some super chat giveaways and all that stuff as well. So 2 minutes on the clock. You can ask me anything that you want in the meantime as well. Reed, get better for Thursday, man. Thanks for pushing through. Can't wait to keep supporting. Chip, chug, incoming. We'll be hopefully chugging on Thursday night.
Oh, you know it. You know it.
Yeah, I think what I got to do, just go home, take a nap, so I can rebound for tomorrow. If I try to push it, just kind of dumb because I got to be ready for Thursday. So 40 seconds into the shot clock. If anybody has a question, just let me know in the chat. I'll answer anything. I like this one. If you have $20 billion and work with the Eagles, what would you do and why? So, Kane, if I had $20 billion, I think I would buy the Eagles. I would just buy the Eagles. I'd go up to Jeffrey Lurie and say, hey, I'll give you $10 billion for this team. Because what's the Cowboys' evaluation? Let me see. Cowboys' evaluation is $9.2 billion. That's probably the most lucrative organization, definitely in American sports, maybe in all of sports, although some of those soccer clubs, like Manchester United or something, might be valued more. Yankees got to be up there. So $9.2 billion is how the Cowboys are evaluated. Where are the Eagles at? I'm looking right now. Eagles are number 9 at $5.95 billion. So you know what? In my negotiation tactics with Jeffrey Lurie, I'd say, you know what? I'll up it to 11. Double your money. And I'll give you $11 billion for the Philadelphia Eagles because then I still have $9 billion to work with. So that's what I'm doing right there. That's what I'm doing. All right, we're going to sign off. Thanks, everybody who watched today. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. I certainly did. Great job by Chip for crushing it as always as he continues to just do a great job for us here on Eagles Now and under the Chat Sports umbrella in general. Thursday night, pregame show starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock out on the West Coast. Do not miss it. Lion Fighter, appreciate that. And I'll see you tomorrow here on the show because we give you content every single day. But our next live show, Thursday. Peace.